Well, imagine what it will be like when Detroit's playing for the championship.
Great name. Thanks for joining us.
See you at 6.
The Navy forced to reopen the USS Iowa investigation. Rising criticism over trade breaks for China and cigarette machines as dealers of death to children. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting again tonight from CBS station KHOU-TV in Houston. Good evening. The U.S. Navy was forced tonight to reopen the investigation into last year's fatal explosion aboard the USS Iowa. The Navy also ordered an immediate halt to firing the big guns aboard all U.S. battleships. This is the first indication Navy brass may be backing off its insistence that the Iowa blast was deliberate and blaming it on one of the 47 sailors who died in the explosion. From Washington, Eric Ingberg has late details. Eric?
The Navy was forced to reopen the Iowa investigation by the most convincing evidence imaginable. A test of the explosive powder of the type used on the Iowa had to be halted today when the powder blew up without warning at a test site in Virginia. The Navy also announced that it had ordered no further firing of the 16-inch guns on the 4 U.S. battleships until further notice. 47 sailors were killed last year when a horrific explosion tore through one of the Iowa's gun turrets. Among those killed, Clayton Hartwig, a sailor from Ohio. The Navy investigation singled out Hartwig as the likely culprit in the blast, noting that his job on the ship positioned him to sneak a triggering device into the gun breach. For motive, the Navy Investigative Service said Hartwig had a suicidal personality. Those claims were rejected by Hartwig's friends and family and even questioned by the captain of the ship. Critics pointed out that Hartwig was a convenient culprit who could not continue using any battleship big guns until the cause was found. Early congressional reaction to today's Navy decision to throw out its earlier findings was angry.
So in every way, the Navy tried to sweep this under the rug, and I am gratified that they finally have acknowledged that they made some mistakes and are reevaluating the entire situation.
Today's explosion occurred without injury as the Navy was testing a new theory of non-military U.S. scientists that suggests the Iowa explosion happened by accident rather than sabotage. That theory will be presented to Congress tomorrow. All of this heightens the pressure on the admirals to start all over again. Dan?
Thanks, Eric. President Bush today renewed China's most favored nation trade status, saying it was the best way to promote the reforms for which the victims of Tiananmen Square gave their lives. At the same time, Mr. Bush indicated he will not grant that same trade status to the Soviet Union, not at least not now, because of human rights problems there. The China decision set off an uproar in Congress, which could overrule the president. White House correspondent Leslie Stahl has our report. Leslie?
Dan, the president's decision ran into an immediate bombardment of criticism from Congress today, but the White House is still betting that the reaction will not be as intense nor as politically damaging as it was last year when he sent officials on a secret mission to Beijing shortly after the massacre in Tiananmen Square.
Mr. Bush cited mainly economic reasons in defending his decision to renew the special trade concessions for China.
Isolation is bad, and economic involvement is good. And the whole fact that we've had economic involvement, I think, has moved China more towards reform than if we hadn't had it.
The president claimed that Chinese intellectuals favor his decision.
The students in China, according to our ambassador, want to see this MFN continue.
But Chinese students in the U.S. were quick and harsh in disagreeing. In a press release, they said the goddess of democracy is weeping and protested that the hardliners in Beijing will use the president's decision to consolidate their power.
President Bush, on one hand, publicly say he will support the human rights struggle for China, for our exile movement. On the other hand, he constantly did a lot of things against what he said publicly.
The White House may have miscalculated the depth of outrage in Congress.
The president's repeated concessions to the Chinese government have been met with intransigence. The answer is not more concessions. That doesn't make sense.
We'll trade with any killer. That will give any pirate, any bandit, anyone on the altar of political expedience the opportunity to do business with us.
Congressional leaders predict that majorities in both houses are so incensed they'll vote to rescind the special trade status. But officials here say that Mr. Bush took his action only after being assured that Congress could not override a veto. Dan?
Leslie Stahl, thank you. Japan and Korea tried to put the past behind them today. South Korean President Roh Tae-woo came to the Japanese Imperial Palace in Tokyo and heard Emperor Akihito express his, quote, deepest regret for the suffering of Korean people under Japanese occupation from 1910 to 1945. In Washington, President Bush's Health Secretary, Louis Sullivan, called today for a ban on cigarette vending machines and for licensing of tobacco retailers. He said this is needed to discourage young people from becoming smokers. But Sullivan stopped short of actually proposing any federal action. Instead, he said it should be done state by state. Deborah Potter has details.
How did you get that cigarette? How did you get that pack?
Well, I went to the store and bought it.
Selling cigarettes to kids is illegal in almost every state, but a new study says the laws are almost never enforced.
They never card you for cigarettes, ever.
Result, 1 million teenagers start smoking every year. Today, Health Secretary Louis Sullivan suggested a new approach, including a proposal that states ban cigarette vending machines.
We must put an end to the time when any child with a handful of change can commence the slow-motion suicide that has taken the lives of millions of Americans.
The proposal drew immediate criticism from tobacco industry officials who said it just won't work.
Vending machines are not a primary access point for young people purchasing cigarettes. If you look at where young people get their cigarettes, they get them from older friends.
Sullivan also urged the states to require a license to sell tobacco, much like the current system for alcohol. But even some opponents of smoking said the plan won't accomplish much unless the federal government gets involved.
The administration is trying to have it both ways by placating the American citizens with soothing words about health while winking to the cigarette industry that no federal action will be forthcoming.
Some in Congress are pushing for federal limits on ads like these, offering T-shirts and free cigarettes, which they say are targeted at young smokers.
This ad, done in cartoon format, instructs hesitant coupon redeemers, translate teenagers, to call upon a friend or a kind-looking stranger to redeem a free pack of cigarettes for them.
Instead of more state laws, congressional critics want to raise the federal tax on cigarettes. Supporters say if anything will convince kids not to smoke, it's higher prices. Deborah Potter, CBS News, Washington.
Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News from Houston, Jerry Bowen on the national parks and the tourist business. And Scott Pelley on some new top hands in the cattle business.
How do orange juice, tomato juice, and grapefruit juice measure up to prune juice? You get more of 7 important vitamins and minerals in a glass of great-tasting Sunsweet prune juice.
Sunsweet. Here's to your health.
Chevrolet introduces the bigger-than-ever 4-door Chevy S10 Blazer. Now America's best-loved sport utility vehicle gives you 25% more cargo room and 100% more doors. The bigger-than-ever, better-than-ever 1991 4-door S10 Blazer. Open one and see why nobody's winning like it.
Heartbeat of America. Chevrolet. James Chevrolet.
Introducing a remarkable new Fix-It-Dent.
At last, an adhesive that doesn't quit at quitting time. Wait up, guys.
This new Fix-It-Dent holds stronger. 4 hours longer than any other cream adhesive. Fix-It-Dent and forget it all day into the night.
Can a healthy diet, including Mazola, bring cholesterol down? Here's living proof.
When I found out my cholesterol was over 200, I got nervous. So I cut back on saturated fats and cholesterol and used Mazola.
A clinical study showed that a lower-fat, lower cholesterol diet, including Mazola, reduced cholesterol an average of 17%.
With Mazola's help, I got my cholesterol down. I can live with that.
Mazola. Together we're beating cholesterol.
It turns out the U.S. economy was growing a lot more slowly in the first quarter of the year than the government first reported. New facts and figuring today indicate that the gross national product grew at an annual rate of just 1.3%. Inflation, as measured by the GNP, was running at an 8-year high, 6.7%. President Bush's Interior Secretary, Manuel Lujan, today proposed raising the fees on private operators of hotels and other concessions allowed in national parks. Lujan said the fees should go up for park upkeep. This follows a report showing the Park Service got only $13 million out of the $506 million private business made off the public's parkland in 1988. Correspondent Jerry Bowen looks tonight at one scenic national park and the big money being made behind the scenes.
Yosemite National Park. The only thing more stunning here than the many faces of Half Dome, more breathtaking than the rush of Yosemite Falls, is how much money the concessionaire takes in and how little goes to the government. The Curry Company, which has a monopoly on everything from pizza to the historic Ahwahnee Hotel, had estimated sales of $85 million last year, but paid a concession fee of just $635,000.
The fees that they've been paying are obscenely low.
The fee is all the more controversial, set against budget and staff cuts in the park. There aren't as many horse patrols, for example, to ride to the rescue.
We're only an hour or so away from somebody normally on a horse. Now, with only 3 or 4 people, we may be 2, 3, 4 hours away.
Curry says it's willing to pay a higher fee, but under the current system, the park wouldn't see the money anyway.
It wouldn't matter whether we took 50% of their gross. It goes to the general receipts of the Treasury. It's paying for a flight controller in Augusta, Maine, or a meat inspector in Omaha, or that money's gone to Panama.
At present, most of the money's going to the same people who own the Shark, Universal Studio Tours.
Keep an eye out for some wildlife if you do.
Curry is a division of entertainment giant MCA.
I think the bashing's going on because other people want the contract, and they'd like to be a part of this operation.
The furor over concession fees comes at a time of renewed and strident debate over the very future of Yosemite National Park, whether access and services should be restricted here in the valley in an effort to return the park to a more natural state. Ever since the first car rolled into the valley, there have been warnings Yosemite would be spoiled, over-commercialized. Now, with rare horned owls having to contend with errant car alarms...
Okay, everything in the valley is sold out.
With a record number of visitors expected this centennial year, critics say it's time to impose limits proposed a decade ago.
We have over 3 million people a year coming here. That's not a few people anymore. That's raping Yosemite.
Yosemite is better today. Its ecological balance is better today.
From high tea in the sedate Ahwahnee Hotel to high thrills on the sheer face of El Capitan, the basic issue in Yosemite has always been one of values. And now, perhaps more than ever, the future of this jewel in the rough may really depend on how people see it. Jerry Bowen, CBS News, Yosemite.
A bomb blast ripped open a car in Oakland, California today. 2 people inside, a 30-year-old man and a 40-year-old woman, were injured. Both are environmental activists involved in a protest against cutting down redwood trees in Northern California. The woman reportedly had received death threats.
Are your meals dull and lifeless since you stopped using butter?
My favorite.
Then try all-natural Butterbud sprinkles. Butter is loaded with fat and calories, but Butterbuds has the flavor of butter with no cholesterol, virtually no fat, and only 3 calories per serving.
It's your favorite.
With Butterbuds on your favorite hot foods.
How is it?
It's corn.
There is life after butter. Butterbuds, it's better than butter.
Heartburn. I was on fire.
2.2. Lab tests show Riopan Plus 2 starts neutralizing acid on stomach contact in just 2.2 seconds.
Riopan got me back on track. Fast.
Remember 2.2. Remember Riopan.
When choosing a new car, don't compromise. Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme SL is longer and wider, yet accelerates faster than Ford Taurus. It's more powerful, yet gets better highway gas mileage than Honda Accord. And it has a better owner satisfaction plan than both. Which obviously makes Cutlass Supreme the smarter choice. All the way around.
This is the new generation of Bulls.
When you've got hemorrhoids, walking is hard. Sitting is worse. Anusol ointment has an anesthetic for the pain and itch. Does your brand? Anusol ointment has an anesthetic to take the hurt out of hemorrhoids.
The rainy season is due soon in Ethiopia, and with it, what could be a climatic battle in the world's longest-running civil war. Rebel factions have wiped out thousands of government troops in recent months, and they now have the army surrounded in the breakaway province of Eritrea. CBS News has obtained new pictures from what U.S. officials describe as the world's most destructive battleground. Edie Magnus narrates this report.
These are the killing streets of Ethiopia's civil war. Government MiGs have repeatedly bombed the rebel-controlled port of Massawa in Eritrea over the past 2 months. The timing of this one was particularly vicious. It was just after dusk when people thought it was safe to be on the streets.
There is no point in bombarding this town except unless you want to kill children and women. That's it.
One frightened boy asks if someone will be coming to bury him. The Ethiopian government has denied reports that these attacks are taking place. From the country where images of famine-stricken peasants seared the world's conscience 5 years ago, now there are images of civilian slaughter. The most seriously wounded are piled in trucks and driven for as long as 30 hours to primitive hospitals with little sanitation and no painkillers, where there are always swarms of flies and always sounds of pain. In one room are the victims of napalm burns. The Ethiopian Air Force planes came in flying low, he says, killing his daughter. In another room are those hit by cluster bombs. 12-year-old Mahmoud had his leg nearly severed at the knee. In addition to destroying lives, the bombs are destroying food. Tons of it lie buried and smoldering in the rubble. The Massawa port on the Red Sea is a critical entry point for international food shipments intended for as many as 5 million people throughout Ethiopia in danger of starvation. With the port destroyed, the only other viable supply route is through neighboring Sudan. But people fear the convoys will bring too little, too late.
It's awful to think of food lying in places and not able to arrive to the people.
Sister Bernadette treats the malnourished in the province of Tigray. This man walked for 8 hours carrying his 9-month-old son to get help. And dozens more need treatment, suffering dysentery, scabies, even typhoid. Nearby, a desperate woman searches for wild grass seeds for her family, the last step before starvation. Perhaps the most haunting symbol of the chaos lies hidden on the site of a former government military base in Massawa. Ammunition boxes filled with skeletal remains. No one knows whose. Ethiopia is a place where the silence is deafening, and where a cry for help seems a cry that no one will hear. Edie Magnus, CBS News, New York.
There you are, going along, feeling on top of the world. Then out of the blue, constipation. You feel bloated, twisted. You just can't go on. And fiber, it's so slow. You want fast medicine. X-Lax, it's the right medicine. Medical experts agree. X-Lax gives your system back the natural fluids it needs to put you back on top of the world again in hours, not days. Today's X-Lax, the right medicine.
Smells good.
Like a Carolina pine forest. That's Lysol Pine Action. I cleaned this morning. It disinfects and works fast. But the scent lasts for hours.
It's nice, but how'd they get a pine forest in there?
Lysol Pine Action. The clean of pine every time.
Those clouds will clear up when you put on a shining face. Your bathroom will cheer up when you put on a shining face. face.
Want clean that really shines? Lysol Basin Tub and Tile Cleaner lifts soap scum, disinfects too. Lysol Basin Tub and Tile Cleaner, now with an easy spray nozzle.
Put on a shining face.
Oh, what people do to clean tough stains from under the rim. 'Cause for some bowl cleaners, that's a tough reach. But not for Lysol Toilet Bowl Cleaner. Its angle neck easily goes under the rim to wipe out tough stains and germs. So look, all you need is Lysol Toilet Bowl Cleaner, the heavyweight with a powerful new angle on cleaning.
The 1969 murder of a young girl in the San Francisco area may well have remained a mystery forever were it not for the haunting memories of her best friend. Today, 2 decades later, the friend took the witness stand at a court hearing. And as David Dow reports, she testified against her own father.
I think I was trying to give a logical explanation to something which was completely illogical to me.
Eileen Franklin Lipsker is the key witness in a preliminary hearing few had expected. It's a murder case that pits daughter against father, a case built on the daughter's repressed memories of events 20 years ago.
My father was holding her hands up above her head, and he was on top of her.
Franklin Lipsker was just 8 when her best friend, Susan Nason, disappeared while on an errand from her home near San Francisco. 2 months later, Susan's body, her head battered, was found in this brushy ravine several miles away. The crime stunned the community and consumed the energies of Sheriff Earl Whitmore and dozens of other investigators.
We had every law enforcement agency in California that we thought could be of any assistance help out on it.
And never a suspect, never close to one?
Never came close to one.
Never for 20 years, until last fall, when Franklin Lipsker, now married and living here in Los Angeles, told of having flashbacks from her childhood. Memories buried as she grew up, she said, of watching her own father kill her best friend.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Her father, retired fireman George Franklin, was arrested but denied the charges. Today, though, his daughter portrayed him as a child-molesting murderer.
And he had his hands up above his head with a rock in his hands. What did you do? I think I screamed.
Is it possible events allegedly witnessed at age 8, repressed and accurately recalled at age 28? The experts are not unanimous.
It's possible. It would be unusual, but it's possible.
But some experts warn that such revived memories could easily be tainted. The mind is not a tape recorder, says one authority. Yet the reliability of one memory is what this case turns on. David Dow, CBS News, Redwood City, California.
Continuing work on the election year anti-crime bill, the U.S. Senate voted today to ban the death penalty for the mentally retarded. This would reverse effects of a U.S. Supreme Court ruling of last year.
What's cool and helps hands in pain? Do this. What's cool and helps a back that aches? Do this. It's therapeutic mineral ice. With its cool feel and penetrating, soothing, deep, cold pain relief. Try this cool feeling and this soothing relief on your little aches and pains. There's no embarrassing odor. Get the penetrating, deep, cold pain relief of therapeutic mineral ice.
I thought you wanted to impress me. Cereal these days needs accessories. You know, fancy fruit shapes, matching textured things. Well, this isn't dressed up at all. It's just flakes. Maybe I was wrong. Yes, I like it. It's simple, classic. Makes a bold statement all by itself.
Kellogg's Corn Flakes.
Corn Flakes?
Taste them again for the first time.
A lot of cars reach 60,000 miles, but only 3 have done it in just 19 days. And every one was a Subaru. The durable, reliable four-wheel drive Subaru Legacy. At an average speed of 138 miles an hour, the Legacy hasn't just proven itself. It's taken less time to do it than any other car in the world.
Factory-to-dealer cash incentives on selected models to qualifying dealers means you could save hundreds on a Subaru.
An anthropologist at Hartwick College reports an interesting discovery today. David Anthony found what he says are bridle marks on ancient horse teeth dug up in the Soviet Ukraine. They were buried there about 4000 BC. Anthony says this means man was riding horses even before the wheel was invented. Here in Texas in the 20th century, the tradition continues, but it's not just men doing the riding. Scott Pelley reports on the change on the range.
In the Big Bend of Texas, where the West is still wild, there is a revolution on the range. Today, the rancher who wears the chaps may very well be a woman.
We focused on the male image of the cowboy, but that really was not what the ranching industry was built on. It was built on family.
In Texas today, women hold the reins on more ranches than ever before, almost 15,000, a new generation scratching a living from the Badlands.
You make money 2 years, you lose your shirt 2 years, and about 4 or a break even.
Susan Combs is a Vassar graduate and former prosecutor. She rides the range of her family ranch during the toughest times in years, fighting government regulation, rising taxes, and the worst drought since the 50s.
Some of the people who would normally have stayed in ranching have opted out, and I don't think women are frightened of the challenge.
It is the challenge of the sun and the dry wind.
They said I wouldn't last 6 months, and here I am, and they're all 6 feet under.
Over 92 years, Hallie Stillwell has weathered it all, proving a woman's place is home on the range. Shooting mountain lions and driving cattle, she is a ranching pioneer.
Most successful ranchmen have a woman behind them telling them how to ranch.
Today, even with more women riding to the range, it is still a tough transition. Linda Walker took over the family spread after 100 years of male ownership.
It was always a disappointment to my grandfather that the only one of his grandchildren that really expressed a real interest in what was his life was a daughter.
Increasingly, it is the interest of daughters that keeps family in the saddle. Kim Saunders is the only heir to the cattle operation built by her parents.
I think it'd be a shame to waste all those years that they put into it.
An investment passed from father to son and now daughter.
He told me, never count on it making you rich, but count on it giving you a good life. And he was right.
That's all I ask. That it don't lose it. That's all. That it's here for my children to make a decision about in 40 years. That's all I want.
Preserving the heritage has been the struggle for 200 years. Today, as ranching enters the 21st century, it is a generation of women offering new hands to work the Old West. Scott Pelley, CBS News in the Big Bend of Texas.
And that's the news from our world tonight. Dan Rather for the CBS Evening News, reporting again from Houston. We want to thank our colleagues at station KHOU-TV and all the good people of Houston for their help and warm hospitality during our stay here. A reminder, I'll see you soon tonight on 48 Hours. This evening, it's about the battle to get drunk drivers off the road. That'll be at 8 o'clock, 7 Central and Mountain. See you in 48 Hours.
And the battle to stop them. A nation that's had enough is fighting back. An all-new 48 Hours tonight.